We'll call the meeting of the electric light plant for April 9th, 2013. Mr. Murray is not here today, so he just, Mr. Keys, Dan, and Eric will be taking the minutes. Review and approve meeting and minutes for the previous meeting.
I'll pass along the minutes from the previous meeting. The meeting minutes are going to be from January, regular meeting and executive session meeting.
Okay. This is two parts here.
Well, they're separate on each.
Click there. What are we doing here?
Those are the attachments that go with the minutes.
Well, is he getting all this? or-
No, one of the other ones.
Yeah. This is the executive session part of it, and that goes with the regular minutes.
Okay.
Just
All
have
right.
to sign.
Executive, I just want to take a second.
Oh,
Oh, that's that land that was underwater.
Yes.
You want to see that one? In
which one is this one? The same one? That's the executive session
executive
minutes.
session.
Oh, and that's the regular minutes. Okay. So it just needs a signature. Oh, we gotta do that one too.
I gotta sign that.
Maybe just do this.
I'll take that, get that out of the way.
This one's done?
Yeah, it's signed. Oh, this is all, it's nothing to sign here.
Yeah.
All right, so this here, you want to take that?
Yep.
Okay.
Can I get a motion to accept these?
Oh, I've got I'll make a motion that we accept the previous
I'll second that. All in fa-
meetings.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dan, time's it.
I don't know what you got.
10:05.
All right, item 2 is operating and maintenance budget for 2013.
At the February meeting, the commissioners and myself talked about a budget for the Raleigh Municipal Light Plant, which there wasn't one in previous years. So what you have before you in your packet is a draft O&M budget And it looks like that. We should have one in there.
There it is. Yeah,
And what this is it's just a draft O&M budget, going along the same lines as what our expenses have been in the past. The first page is a summary page of all the expenses incurred by the department and all the expenses and revenue, all the expenses of the department and all the revenue of the department on the first page is a summary. The second page is a detail of all the expenses incurred by the department in the course of the year. And they're all categorized by the FERC account number in the first column, the description of the expense in the second column, the amount budgeted in the third column. The fourth column will be the actual expended. Since this is a draft budget, I haven't put any numbers into that yet.
yeah.
And then the last column is the actual overage amount remaining in the actual line item or FERC account number, according to the budget. So if this format is acceptable to the commissioners, what I'd like to do is just use this format going forward for this year and following.
As a
the
start,
following
yeah.
years, as a
That's a
start.
good idea. Very good. Yeah, I have no problem with it. I think it's great. And we never had one.
Okay. And this is what I want to do. I want to make sure the format was okay with the commissioners, and then what I'll do is I'll finalize the budget at the next meeting, and then we'll vote to actually accept the budget at the next meeting. But I just wanted to make sure before we did all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
the format was acceptable and everything else before I make any changes.
Very good. Okay, we don't need to vote on that.
No. And there will, on the same,
Next meeting.
there will, for next year, what I'm gonna do is design a capital budget going forward, starting next year, starting January next year. What we'll do is through the course of this year, Mark and I will talk about needs for capital improvements for next year,
Mm,
and then I'll design that budget going forward for next year. So we'll have an expense budget or an O&M budget and a capital budget for next year.
Okay, you got any questions on that, Kenny?
no, sounds good.
Okay.
No,
Solar project on Central Street.
trying to set something up is kind of hard. We've never had one.
Yeah, it's, well, taking all the line items for the expenses is a little difficult, but once you get it all, once you start it,
Yeah.
maintaining
Oh, yeah.
it tends to be a little easier, but.
Yeah.
um,
We're going to solar project on Central, and you're gonna bring us up to date.
I've been in discussions with the developer of the Country Gardens solar project that we have started negotiating a PPA with prior to my starting as manager. The PPA was negotiated, purchase power agreement was negotiated before I even started here, and it was negotiated at 6 cents per kilowatt hour for 20 years fixed. So, I mean, basically, we knew what we were gonna pay for 20 years. They have since lost their investment firm, and a new investment firm is taking over the project. Not taking over the project, but taking over the finances of the project. They weren't too thrilled with the negotiated PPA that we had negotiated with them. And they cited uncertainty in the SREC market as part of their uncertainty with the financing. So what they did was they came back at me with a price, or a change to the PPA in the price, the negotiated price. And what they did was, and if you look at this, this sheet here, what I did was, the first column is actually what they proposed for the PPA price. And it's actually, the negotiated price was 6 cents
Yeah.
flat.
Right.
They proposed a PPA price of 0.075 cents, which is a penny and a half increase from the 6 cents. And they also proposed a 2% per year escalator to that 7.5 cents. So the first column outlines the year one price at 7.5 cents, the increase that that's gonna have at the 2% escalator, and then you can follow that column down So by the end of the PPA in year 20, we'd be paying almost 11 cents per kilowatt hour with a 2% escalator. So I've been going back and forth with them, and I balked at that price because if you look at the purple column at the end, it's cost using proposed 7.75 cent PPA price, and down the bottom you'll see that adds almost $1 million to the price of the PPA over the course of 20 years, which to me is a little more than what we wanted to spend. Yeah,
Right.
solar's great, but it has to be at a rate that we can afford,
Exactly.
for our customers.
Yeah, I'm
So, in talking back and forth with them, I basically told them, I says, well, we're really not interested at 0.075 cents and a 2% escalator, but what about 6 cents and a 2% escalator? And we've been kind of going back and forth with them a little bit, or I have been going back and forth with them a little bit. So that basically is the current offer to them, and they think they can work with that. And the second column of the spreadsheet in the tan column is the actual, the PPA price at 6 cents with a 2% escalator. So you start at 6 cents, and by the end of the contract, you're at 0.08 cent, or almost 9 cents per kilowatt hour. And again, at the end of the spreadsheet, there's a column that totals that to $2.5 million, or $424,000 more than the original negotiated price
And we're gonna be locked in here for 20 years.
for 20 years. I would not hesitate to go forward with the price at 6 cents with a 2% escalator. The escalator was in the original contract with the developers,
Yeah.
but it was negotiated out as something that we didn't really want to deal with at that point in time. There has been some changes to the SREC market. There has been some changes to the actual solar market as a whole. So that they see a little bit more risk in the PPA than was there before, and that's the reason that they want to negotiate a little bit higher price. But again, I'm trying to protect our customers
Right, yeah.
and trying to keep the price as low as possible and still, have an affordable project.
I mean, if we stay firm at the 6, I mean, what happens? I mean,
The project wouldn't go forward. So basically, we'd lose the project. So there's gonna have to be a little bit of give and take on that, because there are other benefits to this solar project as far as capacity requirements go. I mean, basically that 1.5 megawatts is gonna come off our peak load, which reduces our transmission costs,
yeah.
reduces our forward capacity and market costs. So there are other benefits to the project besides just the cheap kilowatt hours.
Yeah. Well, I know the
And-
peak is a big thing too.
Right.
And nobody knows where the fuel is, and
So this is where we're at.
but they can live with that too, so.
If they can live with that, and I certainly can live with that, if the commissioners can live with that, I don't have issues with going forward at 6 cents and a 2% escalator.
You don't need a decision on this now anyway.
No.
It's better to have a three board member.
They need to,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still in
No, it
discussion with
sounds
them.
good, and I'm glad you did the both ways and brought it down. I mean, it's, like you say, the peak is our main thing.
Mhm.
And we don't know where fuel or that's going, so, yeah, sounds good.
And it's fixed for 20 years, so we're stable as far as that part
Yeah.
of our
Mm.
portfolio. And it's renewable, it's green kilowatt hours.
I don't think anything is going down.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, very good. You got any
Questions so
questions
far?
on that, or any more to add?
No, I can follow that, yeah.
Okay, I'll let you know as soon as I hear anything back from them, as far as decision, or, if they're good with the 6 cents, but I think if we take a stand at the 6 cents with a 2% escalate, I think they'll go with it,
Yeah.
but I think we need to stand as a whole and say, this is where we're at.
Yeah, I agree, yeah. No, I mean, I won't be here, but I mean, I think that's a smart way to go.
Okay.
Okay, terms and condition review.
A while back, there was a, if you're gonna take, please take that. Before I started here, there was a, we started reviewing the terms and conditions as part of just a review of the documents that are in place for the light department. It was put out to lawyers to review to make sure we're up to date on all the legal terms and whatnot. And this is basically the version going back and forth with Mark Bixby and myself with the lawyers to just iron out what you have in front of you for a terms and condition as a new improved model of what we had in place before. And as far as I understand, they haven't been reviewed in a lot of years. So what I want you to do is just kind of look over what I've given you and review it. Email me personally with any changes, issues you may have with these terms and conditions, and we can discuss more at the next meeting as far as any changes to this document. It should be pretty close to where we need to be.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that the commissioners understand it and are on board with what the changes that we made. And if you need a copy of the old terms and conditions, I can email that to you so you can have a reference point between the two.
So this one we'll just take home and
Yep, take home and review and
do that.
let me know as far as what you need to make changes on it, or if not, we can vote to accept it at the next meeting, if there's no changes proposed to it.
Good. You got any questions on that, Kenny?
No, I've read it a couple of times and it pretty well spells out everything you want to know, I couldn't see anything different. I don't know what was different from what you had before.
Well, I'll email you the,
can't be too many different
no,
things.
there's not too many differences. It gives us a little bit more leniency as far as
It
we
just
treat.
spells it out a little clearer,
Yeah.
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 Alrighty.
When somebody comes in and wants to put a service, do they get a copy of this?
Yeah.
So they know what's going on.
So
too?
basically, it should be distributed with everybody who comes in, even new customers, so they
Yeah,
understand,
yeah.
because it addresses rates in here as well. It addresses payment times, rates, things like that, so every customer
So
comes
they
in.
can't do something and then say, well, I didn't know.
You didn't know, right.
You probably highlight some of them,
Yeah, I
highlight
can,
some of the parts that a lot of them don't read it all, then they say, well, I didn't know, so.
Yeah,
it may be something that we, and I don't know if we do this now, Eric, but do we have like a welcome packet that we give customers, new customers that come in?
Not at the present time.
Okay, so that may be something that I put together as a welcome packet for customers. It would have the terms and conditions, it would have a copy of your bill, a mocked up copy so they understand what the bill looks like, what they need to pay, the discount, everything else.
yeah,
And
yeah.
also explain like the DTE regulations and the DPU regulations for the electric utility and whatnot. So let's
That's good.
work on that.
Alright. Customer billing classification review?
Mark Bixby and myself have been looking at this, and what this is a printout of all our customers in their actual class, how they get billed, whether they're a small, commercial, industrial, residential, whatnot. And we're reviewing this to make sure that all the customers are being billed correctly and in the correct class. We have found some that are not in the correct class as far as either demand.
Yeah.
If they're commercial, they should be commercial, or they're residential, or, let's say a business moving into a barn at a house. Well, it used to be residential, but now he's running a commercial business out of that barn.
Right.
It should be a commercial account, not a residential account. So Mark and I are reviewing all these and going through them. So you may see some changes going forward in the way these the kilowatt hours are split, like on the DT report or the annual reports, there'll be a difference because we're gonna be shifting kilowatt hours and demand from maybe from the residential class to the small commercial class, or the small commercial class to the large commercial class. So you may see some changes in those accounts. I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Yeah, but you have a house that's got a 200 amp service.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's running out of his barn, but it's coming off the 200 amp service for the original house. What are you doing there? You're not.
Yeah, it's basically a residence, unless they get a separate meter for the
Right,
barn
right.
in a business, which more than likely they probably would. But you know, it's going to be. It's not really etched in stone how you can treat an individual customer. You have to kind of look at the customer itself and say, yeah, I mean, he's got a 200 cent service. It's in his name. It's his residence. That's a residential account. If he's running a business off that service in the back, there's really not much we can do about it. If the house out front was his residence and it was registered in the name of the business on the account, then we'd probably bill it as a commercial account. But so I mean, we have to look through all
Yeah,
these.
I didn't know somebody would say, why am I getting billed here? And the guy next door is doing the same thing, but,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so we don't get into,
There may be those circumstances that pop up, but we'll
Yeah.
have to treat each individual account as we move forward. And with Mark and Eric, they all know these people, they all know the accounts. So I'll be dealing with them, reviewing this, and then changing the accounts as we go forward. I just wanted to make you aware that there may be some changes. People may say something to you that,
yeah, well, I'm sure.
so.
Okay. NYPA voting, representative, designation, what's that about?
I received a letter from New York Power Authority. It's an annual voting representative form. And basically there's voting representatives that need to be voted in or elected to the NYPA, not committee, but it's a NYPA recipient voting representative and alternate. So I have to write down who's the representative and who's the alternate, which is myself and Mark Bixby. But there's also where is it? There's also one that needs to be filled out by the secretary or clerk of the municipal light board, which designates Mark and myself as voting representatives. So I'm not sure who the clerk is on the board.
Okay.
Ken,
Where's her name? I believe, Kenny, you just have to read the top paragraph, and then we can accept that.
oh my gosh, I'm ready, and Kenny, sign your name.
Do you have any questions so far, Bob?
No, nothing, Jim.
Okay. Bob, when's the town election?
It is the, let me remind myself.
6,
Calendar.
May 10?
14th?
14th, okay.
Yeah, because town meeting is on the 6th.
Okay. So it's Tuesday the 14th. So you'd have one more meeting.
Pretty efficient. Get out of here.
Sign it?
Yeah, you can sign it.
That's right.
Yeah, as long as you have the money to back it up.
I just spent it on the weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure. Mine's on Aruba. That's it?
Thank you. And just for the record, this is, it reads, I, the Secretary Clerk of the Municipal Light Board of the City Town of Raleigh, Massachusetts, certify that at a meeting of the board held April 9th, 2013, at which meeting all members of the board were duly notified, at which quorum was present and acting throughout the vote. Following vote was passed by a vote of 2-0 I assume.
Yeah.
Which I will ask you to take a vote after this.
Yeah.
All of which appears in the official records of the board in my custody.
Okay, so you need a motion, Kenny,
To accept, motion to accept?
voting representative and alternate designation for the New York TA recipient. I'll second it, whatever it is.
Okay, we'll make a motion, so do it.
I'll second it, all in
Yeah.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Time down.
Okay, that's it?
10:27.
Did that have to be dated?
Yeah, I can take care of it.
You wanna make a motion to adjourn?
Is that all the business? I'll take
Yeah.
care of.
Yep, I
I'll
just.
make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.